Ben Rhodes served as Deputy National Security Advisor to President Obama and joins me now. Ben, it's just devastating to see that this man has been so courageous to go back to Russia after his conviction, to face Vladimir Putin, rallying all of his supporters and other supporters in opposition to Putin. And they have been crushed also by recent steps by Moscow. What is Vladimir Putin seeing as he has to watch Navalny refer to Putin as the naked king today? Naked king who, as just a little boy and as a plunderer of the Russian people, depriving them of their future. Is that further provocation to the Kremlin?
Yeah, no, it's really difficult to watch those images. I spent some time talking to Alexei Navalny on FaceTime during the pandemic, and he knew the risks that he was facing. He certainly looked much healthier than that. He had said to me that whenever he loses motivation, he thinks about his government and how his government lies repeatedly, and how when he faces Russian judges, they are lying to him. And then that replenishes his motivation. So this is a man who knew that he was risking everything when he went back to Russia. And I think when Putin looks at him, he sees a threat. Even this diminished figure that we saw today, physically diminished, is not morally diminished, because what he's done is repeatedly exposed the corruption of Vladimir Putin. And that is an existential threat to Putin's grip on his country. And that's why we're seeing this effort to try to kind of subjugate Navalny. But also, Putin didn't go as far as killing him, because we saw the explosion in the streets of support for Alexei Navalny. So this is something we're going to have to continue to watch. But we should keep in mind, this is a man with a family, with children. And we need to keep the eyes of the world on him and his case, given the brutality that Putin has showed here.
No, absolutely. And last night, President Biden said that he had told Putin his actions would have consequences. He still, at the same time, wants to work with him on other issues, suggested a summit this summer. How does he strike the right balance?
Well, look, it's incredibly difficult, Andrea. I'm sympathetic, obviously, to what Vice President Biden is saying, given the fact that, you know, we have a huge relationship with Russia and we need to work with them on issues like nuclear arms control, the Iran nuclear agreement, the issues of global stability. But the reality is that if you look at the last 20 years, multiple administrations have tried pressure, have tried engagement, and Putin has always responded with a focus on his own domestic political standing. And if he feels like he has to dial up confrontation with the United States, dial up the nationalism and repression at home, he's going to do that. So I think President Biden is right to test this, but he's also right to show that, look, if Putin does something, regardless of my desire to have a more positive relationship, I'm going to have to respond, because, frankly, this is someone who has blown through every norm that has governed international affairs in the last 20 years. And if he doesn't feel pushback from the United States, he's going to push farther.
And there's another developing concern, possibly involving Russia as well. There have been two classified hearings in the House and Senate last week on Pentagon investigations into directed energy attacks. Russia is the primary source of suspicion here, because they developed this kind of weapon in the 70s and have developed it since. Of course, you know about what happened in Havana, then in China, some instances in Moscow. This is about reports that U.S. troops might have been targeted with such weapons in Syria, and completely unconfirmed reports that this could even have happened in the U.S. How do we deal with this? It's very hard to trace. The symptoms differ person to person, and they're hard to trace back to Russia.
I think this is incredibly dangerous, Andrea. And like you said, this started in Havana, and I think a lot of us suspected that the Russians might be behind this. But here's why we need to watch this. This is incredibly dangerous to just how nations can operate with one another. If suddenly we're moving into a space that we were not even in the Cold War, where they're sending a message to the Russians that your troops, your diplomats, your personnel around the world are not safe, that undermines the capacity of nations to work together on anything here. And what I think the administration needs to do is, if this is true, if the Russians are engaged in this kind of effort around the world, we need to get other countries on board here, our allies, but other countries too, to go to Putin and say, we just can't operate in a world like this. People that we disagree with, countries that we disagree with, have diplomats here. They have diplomats around the world. The United States does not do this. China does not do this. So I think this is something where we have to build a multilateral effort to say, this is something that undermines the capacity of any nation in the world to work together here, because Russia is trying to send a message that if you're an adversary of us, you're not safe anywhere. And that undermines the capacity of the international order to function in any way.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.